business.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Glad
much.
to have you.
Thank you for hosting me.
Well, Governor, of course, a lot has been talked about on devolution. People have come out in different tones saying devolution is not what they expected. On the other hand, we've seen people actually celebrating devolution. I don't know if this is the case in your county.
For me, there's absolutely no doubt at all that devolution is the way to go. If you look at the history, and I don't need to labor the point,
Yeah.
Taita Taveta County was one of the marginalized counties in Kenya.
Yes.
The implication of that is that there is, I mean, for example, the last 50 years of independence, if you look at roads that were tarmacked, it's actually only between Voi and Bundanyi, and that distance is 40 kilometers. So you can actually see that over a 50-year period, even if we had tarmacked 1 kilometer every year, would have done more than what was done. And even then what was done, at some point it fell into disrepair, and a big section of it was not usable, it was not user-friendly, until very recently then the repair works have started. So there's no doubt at all for me that in terms of devolution is the right thing for the county and for the nation as well. And if I also give another example, which is if you look at the health sector, we've had for many years for sub-county hospitals. Yeah. Even the main one that sits on the Mombasa-Nairobi highway, it only had one operating theater. Now, you know, this is a sub-county hospital, is the same hospital that if somebody has an accident on the highway, they would rely to, but only had one operating theater. So what does that mean? What it means is that if there's an accident on the highway and there's an accident victim that is sent into the operating theater, and at the same time there's a lady here who had time to have her baby has come, and if the delivery requires cesarean, it means that she cannot be assisted.
Correct.
Yeah, and therefore in the process I have no doubt at all that we've lost some mothers, we've lost some children, some babies because of that. Now, we've gone ahead and we have now refurbished the theaters. We have added another theater, so now we have two. So even if there was an accident now and there was a mother that wanting to have a baby, we can accommodate both.
Okay.
And globally, if I just share with you the numbers of the people that we are handling in the hospitals. Before devolution, if I look at our many hospitals, we were handling about 85,000 patients in a year. That number has now grown to 110,000, yeah, between 2013 and now. If you look at even mothers that are delivering, first of all, inpatients, it was around 8,900, it's gone up to 13,500. If you look at mothers that are delivering in our hospitals, and now I'm talking about the main hospitals, is gone up as well from around 2,900 to 4,500. So there's no doubt at all. And the last point I want to add is, medicines. And sometimes you hear hue and cry whether we actually have enough medicines or not. And there's no doubt that we need to pump in more money. But just very simply, prior to 2013, the national government used to spend about 50 million shillings on medicines. That number has grown from 50 million. In the first year, we took it to 60 million. Yes. Thereafter, it went to about 100 million, and now to 120 million. So for me, there is no doubt at all that devolution is the way to go.
Governor, quite significant milestones, I must agree. But if you look at the real side of things, Taita Taveta County is one of the counties that has actually been categorized as having one of the highest poverty rates. Perhaps from where you sit as a governor, what are some of the interventions that are coming through in terms of empowering the young people, making them have access to credit?
No, thank you very much. I mean, that is an issue that hit me even as I went around to campaigning in 2012, 2013. The level of unemployment, the level of poverty, and it dawned on me very quickly that we will never be able to create jobs for everybody. But even if somebody doesn't have a job, they still have a right to a decent living.
Of course.
So one of the things that we did is to create a fund, and we call it Datu Sawazisha Fund. And Datu, by the way, the acronym comes from DA, derived from Davida, the major sub-tribe in the county.
Okay.
And TU is for Taveta, the other sub-tribe in the county. So we took those two and formed the word Datu Sawazisha. And the point about Sawazisha is it was the whole concept of equalization, trying to equalize, you know, the fact that because of levels of poverty. And we started off with about 60 million shillings. And for your information, we have four sub-counties. We have Voi. Out of the money that has been disbursed so far, Voi sub-county has received about 12.6 million shillings. Mwatate sub-county has received about 11.6 million shillings. Taveta sub-county has received about 11.4 million shillings. And Wundanyi has received about 9 million shillings. And this fund is intended, is really cheap credit for women, for the youth.
What are the interest rates like?
Interest rate is about 3%, 3% or thereabout.
Okay.
Yeah, and really the whole concept is to cover part of the operational cost. We don't want to make money out of it. Yeah, the idea is that we disperse this money, we help the women, we help the youth, we help people with disability.
It's more of a revolving fund.
It is a revolving fund, and initially we started off with about 60 million shillings, out of which 44 million shillings has been dispersed. And the beauty as well is that some of the first beneficiaries have started repaying. Yeah, and this financial year we've added another 30 million shillings. But indeed, the concept about being a revolving fund, we are seeing it because we are seeing that some of the groups that our beneficiaries in the first disbursement have started repaying. So basically what's going to happen is, in as much as every financial year we're going to be making additional money available, but because other people, the beneficiaries are repaying, it means that we're going to have a basket that will keep being to support other groups, and also even the ones that were beneficiaries to start with can also continue enjoying accessing this fund. Okay. The other component as well, and the other thing I should say, we actually also engaged the KCB Foundation. And you know, through that, we also have another 30 million shillings as an interest-free fund for livestock farmers. So over and above the 60 million shillings that we set aside under that Sawazisha, through the partnership with the KCB Foundation, we have another 30 million shillings, which is also completely interest-free. Yeah.
And Governor, it's one thing to roll out these funds. It's another thing for the impact to be felt on the ground, because we're getting tweets from different people coming in saying, can the governor tell us, has there been any impact on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a genuine and relative question that has to be asked. So far, we've disbursed money to about 640 groups. The interesting is, if you look at the profile of the beneficiaries, out of the 640, 460 actual women groups, and about 48 being persons living with disability, and then about 120 being the youth. So what does that tell you? It tells you indeed that, and this is something that you need to think about, women, when it comes to issues like those, they are more organized, yeah, than the youth, and they're more organized than persons living with disability. Yeah. And also, how are they using this money? When they borrow the money, where is it going? And I've been looking at those details. Some of them are going to poultry farming, some of them are going to beekeeping, rabbit keeping, growing green grams, growing beans, growing aloe vera. Now, has there been an impact? Out of the 640 groups that I talk about, each group has at least 10 people. So you can actually say, simple arithmetic will tell you 640 times 10, that's about 6,400 people. So 6,400 people have benefited from this fund. What has been the impact on their lives? I guess the proper way to answer that is probably a survey, yeah, and we are planning for that. And in one of the social media, I saw somebody volunteering to say, maybe next year, you know, he'd be willing to come on board and to help us to do a survey to see the full impact that this fund has had. But I have no doubt at all. I mean, there's a day last year we called them to see how the beneficiaries were doing, and there's some very good examples. And as I say, there's some groups that have already paid, repaid their money completely, and others are repaying. And when you talk to them, yeah, they tell you indeed that they are producing more now, they have more merchandise to sell, and generally, you know, there has been a step change in whatever they were doing before, even if they were doing before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Governor, the other area that a lot of focus is on is in the tourism sector within your county. It is believed that you haven't given enough attention to tourism. I don't know how true this is, but that's what we are hearing from different stakeholders.
No, I think that's actually quite true. Now, we all know in Kenya where the tourism industry was. Because of the security concerns, you know, the tourism industry was on its knees. And I think the other dimension as well is that about 25% of the population live in the urban areas, that is Voi, Mwatate, Vundanyi, and Taveta. So 75 live in the rural areas. So their mainstay in terms of commercial economic activity is agriculture. And I'm talking about agriculture generally. Now, if I focus on livestock, it has the biggest potential. And what we've been trying to do is to start with improve the breed of the animals that we keep. There's still very many areas where we have the very old breeds, traditional breeds, where a fully grown-up animal weighs about 80, 90 kgs. As we know these days, you can have an animal weighing up to 400, 500 kgs, up to 1,000. And to help farmers, we introduced a livestock multiplication center. We brought in side-holes, borans, and the idea for us is that through that center, as we produce heifers, steers there, then we make those available to the farmers in the community and in the ranches. And that we started in 2013 and is moving very well. Okay. And also, we're also using our education centers, also as production centers, youth polytechnics and secondary schools. You know, we're also giving them heifers, and again with the same objective, that once they produce, then the offsprings can be offered to the communities, you know, at really cost price, because we have given the youth polytechnic this animal for free. We also don't expect them to make a profit out of it, but they sell to cover all their costs. Okay. We've introduced traditional chicken. We spread them out to youth groups, to women groups. We've introduced dairy goats, also spread them out to youth groups, women groups, rabbits as well. And the whole idea is indeed that we improve the breeds. And then the next level then is to look at things like value addition and also marketing linkages. And there's a number of potential investors we're looking at to see how we can put up abattoirs. Because at the moment, we also export a lot of live animals. And in the process, first of all, we don't maximize in terms of value as far as the county is concerned. Yeah.
And Your Excellency, as we wrap up this interview, what would be the one thing that you'd want to leave as a legacy in the event that you clear your terms in office?
2 terms.
Oh, yes. We wish you all well as you plan on your second term, but what is the one thing you'd want to achieve for Taita Taveta County before you take a rest to do other things?
Yeah. For me, one big thing that we are focusing on is reviving cooperatives for horticulture, for bananas, for citrus, because basically farmers had been left on their own. And it's very difficult to support farmers individually. But if you can bring them into a cooperative arrangement, then you can enhance extension services. If you're producing together, then you're going to get into critical volumes. And therefore, if you can even arrange places to go in terms of market linkages, you're also able to do that better than if every farmer is on their own. So if there's one thing that I'm focusing on now, is again to recreate the cooperatives that were there before they collapsed. And as I say, things like bananas, horticulture, and citrus, that is going to be the next big thing for us.
Fantastic. Many thanks, Your Excellency. Governor John from the Taita Taveta County, just sharing with us some of the key achievements as well as the challenges that they continue to face at county level. I don't know how you say thank you in your language back.
We have 2 sub-tribes. In Taita we say Chavucha, and in Taveta we say Haika. So you can choose whichever is easier to you.
Haika.
Okay, thank you.
Engineer John Murutu there.